there, World of Tankers. I'm Blitz, and in today's video, we're going to be asking the age-old question, what is more important, having the damage per minute or having the alpha damage? Now, in my opinion, it goes vice versa. If you have a very large amount of alpha, like one of my favorite tier 8s in the game, the Chimera, you can whip off 500 hit points, back up in the cover, not lose any hit points yourself, and very easily carry a team just with the amount of alpha you have on your tank, stopping from people pushing on you and hitting them back a lot harder than you hit them, or they hit you, should I say. But also, on the contrary, having damage per minute is very important when you've got somebody that's sitting out in the open and you're able to unleash hell on them, just dropping shell after shell into their tank. So it works both ways, having the damage per minute and the alpha damage. However, as you can see in my garage, I have this funky looking tank, the SU-120-254. And you take a look at the gun on this vehicle. Well, it's got 420 alpha, a pretty solid amount for a tier 9 tank destroyer. And as well, it's got 4,275 damage per minute. In fact, the most damage per minute out of any vehicle you will find in the game. The only damage per minute you will find sitting in the 4,000 mark. And the crazy thing is, this is a tier 9 vehicle. The Object 263, the tier 10 version of this tank, has the most damage per minute out of every tier 10 tank in the game. But this is the tier lower, and it's got more damage per minute. It is crazy how devastating this gun is in the correct scenarios. Now, of course, having only DPM does have its drawbacks. First of all, while the gun may have a crazy amount of damage per minute, it's definitely not the most accurate. It's sort of like a Foch, in my opinion, where its gun traverse is awful. You'll see that here. It really doesn't traverse much, and that's a big weakness because you constantly have to turn your tank. You're causing that aiming reticle to bloom, making you miss your shots. Now, of course, missing shells in this tank isn't the biggest issue, although it doesn't really hold the most ammo. Holds 35 shells, and when you try and split that up into heat shells, AP shells, and high explosive, again, that's a pretty good balancing factor, judging that this tank only has 258 standard pen, which for, again, a tier 9 tank destroyer is not the most amount. That AMX that is next to me actually has more. You can see I literally could not pen that Tiger 2 unless I was loading the heat. Now, I accidentally clicked my adrenaline there. I meant to click back to my EP shells, and of course I always misclick my keys there. Let's see if that Tiger, yeah, there you go. You can see the aiming time on this tank is definitely a bit of a downside. There we go, another nice tap into that Glacial, and we're literally going to out-reload the AMX pal next to us, although, yeah, you can see again, just not able to really get the shells out exactly where we want them to. It's one thing that as soon as you move this tank, you budge it in the smallest of bits, causes it to just miss its shells immediately. Now this AMX is in my way, which is a little bit of an issue, but there we go. We are now out in a better position. Let's aim for that track wheel, and kaboom! There we go. We got a shot in the track wheel. Hopefully we're not spotted. No, we are not, because this tank has a very solid amount of camouflage, actually. So we can sit right here. Me and the AMX swap positions there. That T-54 sitting right out in the open. Come on. Aim, aim. Ah, no. Yes. There we go. That's better. So that's one shell tapped into that T-54. We've got the Tiger pulling out. That's another shell tapped. You can see just the gun is crazy how quickly I'm able to rack up that damage. Now, that was actually a very lucky snap into that E75 there. Again, we're not spotted because it's got a very, very solid camouflage ratio. If this shell connects, that is crazy. I did not think that was actually going to hit, but the fact that did just shows how insane the gun is. AMX got a nice tap into the Glacial there, and the enemy team is already pretty much taken apart. They are bleeding and not doing too healthy. Now again, the SU has one other very nice thing going for it, and that is the maneuverability. It goes 50 kilometers per hour, which means I'm easily able to rush into position here and hopefully get out some more damage. I'm very quick. I think it's 50 kilometers per hour, the top speed. I'm not 100% sure on that. But honestly, it's quick enough, as you can see, to very easily get into position. We've got this ISU who, yeah, not much longer is an ISU. The T-54 is still sitting in that position. Let's put on our adrenaline. There's one shell tapped. Let's see if we can trade some shots with this T-54. There's our second shell, and if that T-54, yeah, T-54 is dead. We have the E75 to the side of us here. There's a shot into the E75, and we've already picked up 4,000 damage. It is just crazy how quick you're able to get these shells out. We got the RHM, no problem. RHM is taken care of, and all that's left is a Scorpion G. So there we go. That was pretty much an entirety of an enemy team we were able to take out in about 2 minutes. And yeah, there you go. So we did about 5,000 damage there. Just a pretty simple match to show you how crazy this tank is when it is in the correct scenario. So that wasn't even a mastery, although very close to one, I'm guessing. We were, that was actually a fair amount of XP, but yeah. You can see the SU-122-54 is an extremely deadly tank in the right scenario. Now this matchup might be a little bit different because we are definitely not against tier 8 opponents, and where tier 8 tanks I could rip apart a lot easier, they don't have as much alpha, a tier 10 match is very tough because first of all, it is a tank destroyer, it doesn't have the most hit points, and when you do have so much alpha, the issue for me is that I'm a very, very aggressive player, so you'll find me more often than not in this tank pushing it super, super aggressive, just trying to rip apart tier 10 opponents. And yeah, while I can take out, let's say, one tier 10 heavy tank, in the long run, I'm usually at like 200 hit points by the time I finish them off, and I am probably sent back to the garage in the next couple of seconds. But I will say one thing, if you ever happen to find this tank on the enemy team or on your team, be very, very wary of it, because it will pretty much tear you into pieces. If you get caught out in the open with this thing aiming at you, it's pretty much the E25 of tier 10. And even in this match, while I am up tiered, it's still got the most DPM out of every vehicle in this match, so I'm not super worried. I'm quick enough to get into this position here, not worry too much about where the enemy tanks are going to be pushing. Hopefully we're not spotted, which we are not, and there's a lot of enemy vehicles. Let's back up before. Yes, okay. That's a tank you don't want to be hit by. However, since he did shoot, well, actually, yeah, the shell did hit that VK, and because I know we've got such a quick reload compared to that VK, we're actually able to get one. Well, we didn't pen it, unfortunately there. And they do have a lot of tanks positioned in that scenario. In fact, a lot more than I'm comfortable playing with. I'm going to get out of there. I don't like that. That's not very fun for me. So maybe if we change positions to this lone T-54, if that Sheridan or somebody tries pushing on him, that's going to be very, very beneficial. So let's wait. Let's see if anybody tries pushing on the T-54. There we go. We got the Sheridan who just tapped. Ooh, that's a WT. Yes, that's not very good, and this T-54 is in the way. Yeah, that's not very solid backup before that WT gets me. I'm going to be running away. I don't want to deal with that. Unfortunately, as well, my heavy tanks are falling apart. Sheridan, I'm praying to not get me. Yeah, that's not very good for us there. So let's turn around. Let's see if we can do a little bit of a better job now. That AMX just got a shell into our grill, so I'm going to back up into a safer position here. Maybe that Sheridan's going to push out. We're going to find out here. There we go. Back up, back up. Yeah, that's the issue with this tank. You can see it falls apart extremely quickly when stuck in the wrong scenario. And unfortunately, this match, yeah, this is the definition of wrong scenario. Our team absolutely fell apart here in a couple of mere seconds, and yeah, that's not usually the best for your team. So I'm going to play one more match with this tank because you can see this wasn't necessarily the tank's fault, more 7-0 matchup, so I'm going to have to blame my team for that one. But even in that bad match, still able to finish twice as much damage as the second highest scoring on the team. You can see I definitely didn't do the strongest there, but there wasn't really much I could have done. I should have stayed back a little bit further. I think if I had stayed back in the bush at the normal spawn bush, I could have gotten more damage out. But overall, I'm still happy with that game, and yes, this is the kind of matchup we're looking for. A Tier 9 game where I can influence the lineup a little bit more. Unfortunately, this isn't the best match. I normally like being on more of an open map, especially on this type. However, I do have a plan. Since this tank is very quick, goes 50 kilometers per hour, I'm going to do the flanking maneuver and try and get behind them because, yeah. So hopefully this Chimera does turn around. If he doesn't, yeah, that's going to kind of suck for me. But, yeah, Chimera's turning around. That's good. So what do they have? They've got a Batchat, and that's really their only faster tank. That's why I'm thinking, you know what? If I flank them, what are they going to do? You got 4,000 damage per minute shooting up your rear end. And if it's HE shells, we can HE pen the T-30 in the rear. We can get the Batchat. We can get the T-34, T-28 Defender. We can pretty much rip apart their entire team. Now, I do want to stay a little bit careful of vehicles like the Tortoise. And there we go. Batchat is spotted in the Death Bowl, which is perfect for us. That means that I'm able to push right up into this position here and maybe, just maybe, get a couple shells out onto the enemy Batchats. So I'm going to actually wait for that Batchat maybe to back up into a safer position. I don't think it's going to, though. I've got to be careful because, of course, when you're pushing this quickly, you've got to be very cautious of what you're pushing into. So there's our first tap into the T-28 Defender. We are probably going to be tapped back. However, there you go. So we've tapped 2 shells in him, and T-28 Defender is pretty much wiped off the map. And there you go. There goes a full health enemy opponent. 1132 damage there in just a matter of seconds, and we're going to back up pretty much unscathed. I'm not, I can trade one shell for quite a bit more damage out there. Let's just destroy this building so that way we can aim at that T-30. I'm not really too worried about my DPM losing a bit there. But there we go, one shell into the enemy T-30. Let's see if we can get a couple more out. We got the T-34 pulling up. That's our second shell. Anybody else want to play with the damage per minute? I don't think so currently. We've got the IS-3 right there. Unfortunately, as I've said, the accuracy on this tank is a little bit lackluster. We've got that bat shot, who I don't think we're going to be able to tap, but actually we did. We actually managed to get a very nice snap into that bat shot. In just a couple seconds, if that bat shot does not get in the cover, he actually did, which is definitely very good for the bat shots, was able to survive. Now, what do we got here? We got the IS-3, the bat shot's probably somewhere around that building still. But we all know I'm all about that damage, and the most damage right now is currently where my M6 is, where the Tiger 2 is, so we're going to try and help these guys out. Of course, while I could focus on getting the kills, damage per minute in this tank is the main thing. Unfortunately, there is another downfall of this vehicle, and that is the gun depression. Only 4 degrees will struggle quite a bit in most scenarios. However, Tiger 2, not too worried about that. There's one shell tapped into the Tiger. Are we going to be able to get another? We're going to find out here. That's 2 shells, and hopefully this Chimera finishes him off. That's not too big of a deal, though. So that person's dead, and all we have left is a lonely tortoise, who, there's 1 shell. And, yeah, that's pretty much the end of this match. So 3,891 damage. Wasn't the craziest match here, but you can see, in the correct scenario, where you play this tank right and you know what to do, you can just rack up the damage. If the enemy team had more hit points, we would have easily cleared 5,000, even maybe 6,000 in this type of matchup. So, in my opinion, this is a tank that a lot of people should know about, and a lot of people should grind. I don't know why people don't go for this vehicle, and maybe tomorrow I'm going to make a video on the 263, because the 263 as well is just a amazing tank. It looks cool, it's got a great armor profile, and it's very fun, especially the damage per minute it has. It's very quick, so let me know if you guys want to see the 263 video, but overall, both of these tanks are just so much fun to play. So let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Of course, if you like this type of video, please make sure to hit that subscribe button down below. It really does help out the channel. Make sure to click that like button. Let me know you did enjoy it if you stuck all the way till the end of the video. But other than that, guys, I hope you're all doing well out there. Stay happy, stay healthy, and I'll make sure to see you in the next one.